Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Hold on one second. Sorry about that, guys. Ooh, let me turn this music down just a tad bit. 'Cause it's a little loud. I like to have it in the background, but not overpowering. How's everybody's Thursday going? Hey, Sharon. Hey, Voracious One. Welcome to the show, guys. It is episode 6 of Messy Ministries, and tonight's topic is all about Mr. Reverend Al Sharpton. And I got to be honest with you guys, I was really surprised that he came up on the Messy Ministry list. There were some things that we're gonna look at tonight that I think may be a little surprising to you guys. It's gonna be a short show. It's not gonna be very, all that long, but I was able to pull some information. It was hard digging up dirt on Mr. Al Sharpton, but I found some, guys. I found some. So without further ado, let me share my screen, and y'all know that my old faithful YouTube channel, RRG, they are always really good with pulling out the dirt on these messy ministers, okay? So we are going to be heading over to their platform, and we're going to do a reaction to their video on Mr. Al Sharpton. So let's get into it. Give me 1 second. So I just want to say real quick, fair use, fair use. Hey, Voracious One. And shout out to RRG. Be sure and pick up some of their snacks that they like to advertise in the beginning of their show. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys.
Welcome to another episode of our Mega Church Messiness series. Before we get into today's video,
and I just want to show you, it says the truth about Reverend Al Sharpton's wife, side chicks, and messy life. So just know this is very interesting. Okay, let's get into it.
Auntie Regina has something to say. This is a man's world. But it would mean nothing, not one little thing, without some sour peach rings.
That's so crazy.
Our online concession stand at rrgsnacks.com has an assortment of goodies for you to munch on while watching our videos, like Applewood smoked bacon jerky, green apple licorice, and our delicious gummy sour peach rings. Now, please keep in mind that Al has been in the public eye for more than 5 decades. We can't possibly discuss every single incident in his life, but we'll do our best to touch on some of the messiest aspects that have occurred during his time in the spotlight. Alfred Charles Sharpton Jr., who the hell is Alfred? Better known as Reverend Al Sharpton, was born on October 3rd, 1954 in Brooklyn. The first few years of his life were amazing. His dad owned about 23 buildings in Brooklyn, and his father spoiled his mom by purchasing her a brand new Cadillac every year.
Oh, must be nice.
Okay. Al was just 4 years old when he preached for the first time at a church service. Just a few years later, his entire world was flipped upside down. At the age of 9, he woke up one day, and his dad and his 18-year-old half-sister Ernestine from his mom's first marriage were gone. Come to find out, his dad and Ernestine were having an affair, and Ernestine ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah. Papa was a rolling stone, y'all.
When his dad and Ernestine finally returned to the family home, they picked up one of Al's sisters and took her with them. Al remained estranged from his father for many years. He told Oprah's Next Chapter that they were pushed into poverty and his mom had to get a job scrubbing floors. Because she wasn't making enough to make ends meet, they had to move to what Al described as the hood. Al told Oprah, "I felt if I hadn't lived a middle-class life and then went to the hood, I might not have been as angry. But I felt robbed. I felt that I had the right life, and y'all took it from me for no reason, and then humiliated my mother." He said he would wake up angry and carry that anger all throughout the day until he fell asleep and repeated the cycle. According
That's actually really sad. That's real sad.
to the LA Times, he became an ordained Pentecostal minister at the age of 10. As a teenager, he got involved in community projects. At the age of 13, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend William Jones appointed him the youth director of New York's SCLC Operation Breadbasket, an organization founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Months after Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, 13-year-old Al became ordained as a Baptist minister. In 1971, while still
That's amazing. With him being so young when that, his parents separated and his father basically abandoned their family. It's interesting that, that he maintained his faith in God. I'm glad that he did, though, because I know a lot of times, situations like that can challenge your faith, especially when you're a kid and don't really understand. So that's actually really amazing.
Still in high school, Al founded a national youth organization that promoted social and economic justice for Black Americans.
Hey,
a guy
Candy.
named Teddy Brown moved from Georgia to
Welcome
New
to the
York to
chat.
join Al's organization. Sadly, in 1973, 19-year-old Teddy lost his life in a car accident. Questions surrounding his passing have persisted for years, with one family member suggesting that Teddy was shot right before he crashed his vehicle. Teddy's father, James Brown, performed a memorial concert in New York and donated the proceeds to Al's organization. The New York Times reported that Al was so entranced by James that he accidentally followed him on stage during his performance. "This is a man's world. Get your ass off the stage, little boy. Go sit your ass down somewhere and enjoy this show."
Cassandra, thanks for joining us, Candy and Cassandra.
Upon hearing about Al's family situation and home life, James took Al under his wing and became his mentor and father figure. From his late teens to his mid-20s, Al went on tour with James. He was drawn to the music industry, but James made it clear to Al that he didn't want him to be a...
Really quick, y'all, if you did not hit the like button on your way in, please do me a favor and hit that like button for me, please. Thank you.
part of that world. James encouraged Al to continue with his activism and fight the racial tension that had erupted in New York's Black neighborhoods. James even gave Al pointers on how to style his hair. James also did one thing that would change the course of Al's life forever. He introduced him to his back.
Pause. Did you guys know that the reason why, hey Gold Digger, thanks for joining us. Did you guys know that the reason why Al's hair was like that was because of James Brown's influence on him? I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Even just their relationship in general was interesting.
Backup singer Kathy Jordan. Al and Kathy got married in 1980. They welcomed two daughters, Dominique and Ashley, and Al spent most of the 1980s trying to make a living as a minister and civil rights activist. Due to his connection to James, he also began rubbing elbows with celebrities. The anger that he felt as a child persisted, and Al used the fiery emotion to help him fight on behalf of Black people who were hurt by the police or members of other racial groups.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here. Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good.
Work management tool? No.
However, his misguided anger backfired in 1987 when he became an advisor to a Black teenager named Tawana Brawley.
Okay, so this is where the scandal resides, y'all. I just wanted to point that out real quick. Pay attention. This is where the scandal resides with Mr. Al.
Tawana Brawley was
Or at least one of the scandals.
a 15-year-old who claimed she was raped by 6 white men in law enforcement.
She was later found on the side of the road with racial slurs and boo-boo smeared on her body.
Not the boo-boo.
The case sparked national outrage.
I'm not a liar and I'm not crazy.
But there was no forensic evidence of any sexual attack.
Upstate New York prosecutor Stephen Pagones was accused of being one of the suspects. A grand jury declined to bring indictments after they determined that Tawana fabricated the story to avoid punishment by her family for staying out too late.
What in the Carly Russell is going on here?
Stephen sued Al, Tawana, and Tawana's lawyers for defamation. Al was ordered to pay him $65,000, which he did after his wages were garnished. As for Tawana, she was ordered to pay him $190,000. As recently as 2015, online sources reported Tawana had only paid off about 1% of her debt, and the total amount with interest has grown to more than $430,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Hey, Heavy. Hey, Babs.
The entire case left a stain on Al's reputation. Critics, politicians, and news media have demanded that he apologize for his role and publicly condemn Tawana. However, Al has refused.
You've apologized, you've asked for forgiveness, except on Tawana Brawley.
I have thought about that a million times. I just don't believe they treated that case fair.
He did say he regretted some of the nasty names he called Stephen, and the case taught him to refrain from using personal attacks in his activism. And then came the 90s.
Okay, so let's pause. I'm going to read some of you guys' comments. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? Heavy? Is Heavy in here? If so, I missed her. If she is in here. Hey, Heavy. Let me see. Candy said, I recall this. I didn't know anything about that case, but we're going to dive, after we go through this RRG video, we're going to dive into that case a little bit more. And Cassandra, I would love for you to do a show on this particular case. Just a suggestion and throwing it out there. I like how you break things down on your show. Let me see here. Oh, there's Heavy. Yes. Hey, Heavy. She said, look at Big Al. Cassandra says she ain't got it. That's a whole lot of money. $400,000. Good Lord. Candy said, wow. She said, I ain't never paying that back. I know that's right. Good Lord have mercy. Cassandra said, laughing my ass off at Candy. Never. Candy said, now why the perm? I missed that part. So in the video, Candy, it said that he was heavily influenced by James Brown. James Brown had kind of became like a father figure for him, and so what he has is the James Brown hair. Yes, girl. Have you said that's Big Al right there? Hey, MEP. Okay, cool, Cassandra. Thank you. Yes, I asked the same thing, Candy. Hopefully she's gonna hook us up. Let me see. Say hi to Gold Digger. MEP. Bab says she said that 10 toes down. I know that's right. They're talking about Al's hair. Fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Okay. Yes, Candy. I hope everybody had a great day too. All right, so let's get into Al's financial issues, guys. Okay.
Al was acquitted on felony charges that he stole $250,000 from his youth group. Then in 1993, he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor for failing to file a state income tax return. Later, the authorities discovered that one of his for-profit companies, Raw Talent, was also not paying taxes. He ran for the Senate 3 times and campaigned to be the mayor of New York City in 1997, but he fell short of winning every time. As for his wife, Kathy, the New Yorker website described her as a strikingly attractive woman. She no longer sang for James and spent her time singing in a choir. In 2001, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who had been married for 38 years, admitted
She pushed it all right. She pushed the baby right on it.
one of Jesse's loudest supporters was his on-again, off-again friend, Al. In a news conference, Al said,
I remind people that Reverend Jesse Jackson should not be judged by just this situation. We should remember that for 35 years, it was Jesse Jackson who walked the picket line, marched, went to jail, and then went to foreign shores to bring home prisoners of war for this nation. Jesse Jackson should not be seen just in one limited and one-dimensional act. Nah, Al, we can still applaud him for his activism and drag him for cheating on his wife.
Okay, we absolutely
He should have
can.
kept this dangling where it was supposed to be. All right. Okay, thank you.
was Al adamant that Jesse should be given some grace because he was also living foul? Marjorie Fields Harris worked as the executive director of Al's charity. In January 2000, while at Al's office, she met a man named Basil Smikle. They started dating, and he proposed to Marjorie within 2 months. But 6 months later, while preparing for their wedding, close friends told the Village Voice website that Basil discovered emails Marjorie had sent Al. One of the emails went a little something like this. Dear Al, things with Basil aren't going well, and I've come to the realization that you're my soulmate. Don't worry, Big Daddy. Things will go back to normal soon. I promise. Love always, Marjorie. According to the Village Voice website, in another email, Marjorie reportedly made reference to Al's need to release bodily fluids.
Yeah. What in the freak nasty is going on?
What? Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
When Basil confronted Marjorie about the emails, she reportedly convinced him that Al was the aggressor, and she always turned him down. Satisfied with her response, Basil went through with their May 2001 wedding.
Yes, Candy. As far as I know, Jesse Jackson is still alive.
There's always a fire, okay?
Al decided he and his wife Kathy should renew their vows after 20 years of marriage, so they planned their ceremony just a few weeks after Marjorie's wedding day. So did Al plan his vow renewal because he was in his feelings about his alleged side piece getting married? We're unsure.
Paying your bills on time raises your credit score, right? Wrong. In fact, this is one of the
Unfortunately for Al, he got locked up in Puerto Rico during a protest and missed Marjorie's wedding, although he had already decided not to attend the ceremony. He also had to push back his vow renewal, but he and Kathy still had their vow renewal ceremony sometime in 2001. Things between Marjorie and Basil were rocky from the start, since Basil still wasn't completely comfortable with her relationship with Al. Basil told the Village Voice website that he was convinced that Al was going out of his way to drive a wedge between him and his new bride. Al and Marjorie allegedly messaged each other all night, traveled first class together, and stayed in the most expensive hotels. Basil noticed that Marjorie was wearing a new Rolex.
Well, don't sound like they was hiding anything to me if they was doing all of that. I'm just saying.
Mink coats, and expensive jewelry. And she bought a Cadillac from the same dealership that Al's charity did business with. Basil later found out Marjorie also purchased a Mercedes, but he couldn't figure out how she was paying for it. Despite being the executive director of
That's because she wasn't paying for it. Al was.
Al's charity, the charity's campaign scheduler stated she never saw Marjorie complete a full day's work. The woman added, the most she'd do was 2 hours. We wouldn't see her for days, even when they weren't traveling. Sometimes they'd both be gone from the office for days, and no one would know where they were. Al reportedly moved out of his family's Brooklyn home in April 2003. Around that same time, Marjorie moved out of the Harlem apartment she shared with Basil and into an apartment in the building formerly known as Trump Place. Basil filed for divorce shortly after.
Oh, Basil, Lord, fix it.
Damn, so he left his family and she left her husband. Lord have mercy.
Jesus.
Marjorie's neighbors and the doorman at Trump Place stated they saw Al at the building at all hours of the day and night. Both Marjorie and Al denied they were engaging in an affair. Many people saw the allegations as nothing more than a hit piece, since Al was the 2004 Democratic presidential nominee when the news hit the media. Others were outraged by Al campaigning as a married man despite being secretly separated from Kathy. Al ultimately conceded defeat to Senator John Kerry. In November 2004, the Sharptons officially announced their separation, but stated that.
Do y'all remember when Al Sharpton was running for president? I do. Put one in the chat if you remember when Al was running for president. I think he ran for president, and Jesse Jackson, I believe he ran for president. Did Jesse Jackson run for president, y'all? Yes, Sharon. He is definitely his dad's son. And you would think with him being so speaking on that, you would think the fact that he was so angry as a child that his father did that to him, that he wouldn't have done that, to his family. So that's really weird. Okay, so we got a lot of ones in the chat. A lot of you guys remember when Al ran for president. And let's see here. Okay, so Jesse Jackson did run too. Okay, Cassandra said Jesse ran twice. Okay, thank you guys for that update. Heavy says she guess she too damn young. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Great minds think alike, Candy. They walked so Obama could run. Absolutely, yes. And thank you, Gold Digger. Once again, guys, if you did not hit the like button on the way in, please do me a favor and hit that like button. Now let's get back into this video.
They would remain on the best of terms. Whatever was going on between him and Marjorie didn't last, and the charity's website was updated to list her as the nonprofit's former executive director.
Bye, Ashley. You lost your side piece, all the riches, and your husband with your dumb ass.
On Christmas Day 2006, James died of a heart attack at the age of 73. Al wrote in a social media post,
I miss him, but I cherish the memories. I thank God for him and what he meant to the world and in my life.
By the time 2009 rolled around, Al and Kathy were still legally married but separated. Although she typically stayed out of the public eye, she made headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
In November 2009, Kathy and their daughter Dominique were in a vehicle that was stuck behind a slow-moving car. According to the police report, Dominique, who was behind the wheel, blew the horn as she tailgated the vehicle and furiously swerved across the double line and through a red light to get past the car. Unbeknownst to them, the vehicle they were stuck behind and zoomed past was an unmarked police cruiser.
I know they hate they did that.
The police pulled them over.
That's why you gotta be patient. You got to be patient. Oh my God.
And Kathy and Dominique reportedly became belligerent and argumentative. They were arrested and attempted to use Al's name to escape trouble. The charges were later dropped and the case was sealed.
All right, I guess Al still got some pool. Okay, Al, go ahead.
Finding an affordable place to live is really hard. There are a lot of...
Okay, back to
the years passed, and Al and Kathy didn't make any immediate plans to end their marriage. Instead, Al dropped over 100 pounds and decided it was time to blow someone else's back out.
Yeah, not Al getting his groove back.
In 20...
Okay, we got the little one, y'all. We back to the little Al.
2013, 58-year-old Al stepped out with 35-year-old Aisha McShaw. They attended the New York County Democratic Committee award ceremony together. The press went to work digging for more information about Aisha. They discovered that she's a mother, and she worked as a personal banker at Wells Fargo and as a personal stylist to housewives, corporate women, and celebrities. Aisha would later go on to start her own fashion line. Naturally, Al's supporters were outraged that a reverend was flaunting around his new girlfriend while he was still married. People weren't too fond of the huge age gap either. The New York Daily News reported Al was shocked by the criticism. His aide told the
little Al got him a pretty young thing.
Publication that Al asked her, "I'm not announcing an engagement or a marriage. Don't I have a right to date when my marriage has been over for a decade?"
Reverend, what does the Bible say about you having a girlfriend and a wife at the same damn time? What does it say?
Exactly.
Okay.
Aisha was Al's +1 at several black tie events across the country and even accompanied him to the White House several times. In February 2021, Al finally filed for divorce 17 years after separating. In a statement, he said,
"After years of being separated, Kathy and I have decided to formalize our separation by filing for divorce. We plan to resolve this in an amicable manner." You sure this time, or is it going to drag on for another 17 years?
As of this video, Al is still very vocal in his quest to obtain justice for those who have been treated poorly. He has finally reconciled with his biological father after being estranged for so many years. It doesn't appear that Al and Kathy's divorce has been finalized, and he and Aisha are still going strong. She's always by his side on the red carpet, and she stays draped in her original designs, including this beautiful gown she designed for the 2024 Met Gala. Although this entire video has been full of twists, turns, and a bunch of hot, stinking mess, we wish Al, Aisha, and Kathy nothing but the best. If you enjoyed this video, let us know down below.
And thank you. I want to say thank you.
They talk about the 2024 Met Gala. That's crazy. Okay, so I do have one more video that I wanted to share with you guys, and it was about that case, the scandal surrounding the Tawana Brawley case. So let me pull this up. Yep, but that's her sugar daddy for sure. That's her sugar daddy. I ain't mad at her, but I don't know. He's not attractive to me, the big one or the little one. So I don't know what it is that she's attracted to. Yes, Candy, they still rocking. But at least he did finally divorce his wife. But let's get into this next video. Let me see. Okay. Hey guys.
Tawana Brawley is a 16-year-old girl whose story is the talk of New York these days.
The New York State teenager who claims that she was abducted and raped by 6 white men.
In the late 1980s, Tawana Brawley became a household name as her horrific stories spread across the nation.
She had KKK written across her chest and nigger across her stomach,
leading to widespread outrage.
We're going to expose the facts in these crimes that you do against black people.
And intense soul-searching about race in America.
Let Miss Brawley represent what we're not going to stand for as parents, as Americans, and as human beings.
But how did investigators discover the truth behind the Brawley rape, and what is its legacy today?
I think that the lessons of Brawley is very instructive for me and others.
Hold on, y'all, because I want to make this big. It's acting crazy. 1 second.
Tawana Brawley is a 16-year-old girl whose story is the talk of New York these days.
The New York State teenager who claims that she was abducted and raped by 6 white men.
In the late 1980s, Tawana Brawley became a household name as her horrific stories spread across.
Okay, let me move this.
Parents, as Americans, and as human beings.
But how did investigators discover the truth behind the Brawley rape, and what is its legacy today?
I think that the lessons of Brawley is very instructive for me and others, but I think that people want to cut off the lessons where they want.
Oh.
In November 1987, a news story from a small town 70 miles north of New York City shocked the nation.
Special segment tonight, the Tawana Brawley case.
She was found wrapped in a plastic bag, by some accounts, sexually assaulted.
The 16-year-old cheerleader said she'd been abducted 4 days earlier and had been repeatedly raped and sodomized.
She was found in a fairly frightening state. She had a pair of sneakers which had been cut with a razor. Her hair seemed matted and covered with feces. There was writing on her chest. The jeans that she had were burnt in the crotch. It was like, this is not a normal state to find someone.
More unsettling was the claim Brawley made on national television about one of her attackers.
He's a cop. He was a police officer.
Brawley attracted a team of activists to her side. The Reverend Al Sharpton, C. Vernon Mason, and Alton Maddox were well known in the press, having recently focused attention on another racially charged case, the killing of a black youth who was fleeing a white mob in Howard Beach, Queens.
New York State is now the capital of racial violence.
In the Brawley case, they saw the makings of a cover-up and demanded a special prosecutor take over.
I was a spokesman for the legal team and the family of Miss Brawley. I was involved to help bring light on the fact that there was a situation here that needed to be adjudicated.
We are not going to let this girl be the scapegoat of a corrupt system. We want to show the world how low down, dogged, and callous the state of New York is.
Brawley's advisors declared they had a suspect, a young police officer named Harry Chris Jr., who had committed suicide days after her attack.
The media now has released that Tawana identified Chris.
What's the evidence?
Tawana's voice on the tape identifying Chris.
With protesters taking to the streets, the state attorney general dispatched veteran investigator John Ryan to upstate New York, with orders to solve the increasingly sensitive case.
We attempted immediately to sit down with Tawana and her family, and we reached out repeatedly to her attorneys, her advisors, and that was never fruitful.
Her lawyers, it was their decision, along with her family, which I announced, that they did not want to cooperate because they did not trust the special prosecutor that was appointed by the governor.
We might send them a letter, and then, they'd have a press conference.
They're at a press conference, and all of a sudden, Alton Maddox pops out with this guy's name.
Her lawyers charged that Dutchess County Assistant District Attorney Stephen Pagonis was among the girl's attackers and demanded his arrest.
We have the facts and the evidence that an assistant district attorney and a state trooper did this.
She made statements to the lawyer. She never made statements to me. I did not ask a 15-year-old girl what happened. I believe the lawyers believed their client, and I believe that we had an obligation to go forward.
Without Brawley's cooperation, Ryan tried to divine some clues from the initial police investigation.
In the course of the interview with the police, she literally only said one word. She would also indicate, I believe by eye blinks, they would ask her a question and she would indicate yes or no. The police officer took what they could get. She was found in a grassy area behind the building that her family had previously lived in, very near the apartment that was then vacant but unlocked. She had literally just come off being grounded because she got home at 5 a.m. from some party. She goes to visit a boyfriend in jail, and then she eventually takes the bus home, and that's the last time anybody saw her officially during those 4 days.
From his headquarters at the State Armory in Poughkeepsie, Ryan and his team struggled to make sense of a case that seemed to grow more complicated every day.
We were an investigation under siege.
We closed the bridge, the court, and this building and Main Street.
Thanks for telling me
Press
I
had
was
its
muted.
agenda.
I was just
No offense.
talking.
The advisors had their agenda. No offense. Quite frankly, we had to view it was those of us in the armory against the rest of the world.
There were scores of false leads. An acquaintance said he was with Brawley. He wasn't. A man claimed to have secret tapes that cast doubt on the veracity of Brawley's advisors. He didn't.
We started a rumor about a 9-fingered man, just to see how long it would take for a press report, to call us and start to ask about the 9-fingered man. I think it took 2 days.
But such moments of levity were brief.
A trooper starts up the steps of the armory, and these demonstrators decided they weren't going to let him in. He grabbed the demonstrator that was fighting him.
I think the only thing that
Reverend
I
Sharpton
said
was
that
accusing
I really
me
said
of kicking.
was, it was interesting that Al Sharpton said that he never spoke to the 15-year-old girl. Like, who takes on a case like this and you don't even speak to the victim? I thought that was a little weird, but I think that's all really has said.
Picking a blind man. That bothered me. You realize how a lie can spread.
Her advisors have said a lot the past few months, charging that white local officials were involved in the crime, not to mention the mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Irish Republican Army.
Sharpton called Cuomo a racist, compared Abrams to Hitler, and said Brawley would go to jail rather than cooperate with the investigators.
Maddox would actually say that the Attorney General of the state of New York was masturbating over pictures of 15-year-old Tawana Brawley.
They looked up and they saw Maddox, Mason, and Sharpton. What's wrong with them? What was wrong with us was crackers didn't choose us.
I think a lot of the rhetoric, including mine, went too far. But I think that there's a difference between the rhetoric and the reason we got involved.
A lot of gaslighting,
But at the time, that reason was questioned by one of his own associates.
They are frauds from the beginning.
Damn.
Perry McKinnon,
put it out there.
You couldn't see Sharpton
Didn't
without
even
seeing
hold
Perry
back.
McKinnon in those days. And he was with him at all times. And, he's a decorated war hero. He's all these other things.
This whole situation is not about
Al
Tawana
had a
Brawley.
whole snitch
It's
in the
about
camp.
Mason, Maddox, and Sharpton sort of taking over the town. Their exact words were, "We beat this, we will be the biggest niggas in New York."
Let's take the outside chance McKinnon is telling the truth. And by the way, there's nobody corroborated that. If I say that if I win for president when I ran, I'll be the biggest black guy in America, does that really mean that I perpetrated a lie?
As the press turned up the heat on Brawley's advisors, Ryan uncovered new clues.
The jeans she had on were burnt in the crotch, but she wasn't burnt there. The cutting in the sneaker,
Absolutely, gold digger.
clearly it was
Taking
done
it too far
when
is an
no foot was in the sneaker.
An FBI lab agent on the case drew his attention to bits of cotton found inside the feces-smeared glove, allegedly used in the attack on Brawley.
Okay,
We were having a drink, and he said to me, and the damnedest thing is we found the same thing under her fingernails. Well, I almost spit my drink out. Get burnt cotton under her fingernails, burnt cotton in the tips of the glove. There's a real good chance, she's wearing those gloves.
Next, Ryan set about discovering the source of the racial epithet found on Brawley's body.
I was burning cotton in my kitchen and wasn't getting anywhere, and the burnt cotton fibers fell into the sink. And my wife, who's always been smarter than me, leaned forward, put her finger on the burnt cotton in the water, went like this, went like that. Looks like it to me. It was the last piece of the puzzle.
Today, after 7 months, 6,000 pages of testimony, and 180 witnesses, a grand jury found beyond any doubt Tawana Brawley's story is a lie.
Those allegations are untrue. The people who made those allegations lied. Their outrageous, irresponsible acts have increased the atmosphere of tension between the races.
I think that people have to advocate what they believe in. I have friends right now that believe O.J. Simpson is guilty right now. And a jury said he's not. Does that mean that I think they don't have credibility? That means that I think that they have a belief that I don't share and a jury didn't share. A grand jury did not believe Ms. Brawley. I believe there was reason to pursue this situation.
Sounds good, Al. It sounds good.
Real victims of this case was the family of the police officer. They suffered the loss of their son through a horrible means, and then were subjected in the press to these allegations which had nothing to do with them.
I didn't bring him in the case, Ms. Brawley did. I was speaking for Ms. Brawley. I mean, of course we wanted the aspects of what her allegation was investigated.
Pagonis was also vindicated in the report.
We accounted for virtually every moment of his time over the 4-day period and concluded he had absolutely nothing to do with it.
There's absolutely no way that this served any good social purpose. If you concoct a rape, then you undermine the credibility of women who are raped. If you concoct a rape and turn it into a race crime, then you undermine true victims of race crimes.
About 6 months after the hoax was unmasked, Brawley's former boyfriend told Newsday that Tawana had invented the scheme, apparently to avoid a beating by her mother's boyfriend after running away from home. But Brawley, who now works as a nurse under another name in Virginia, has steadfastly refused to explain herself publicly.
I'm not a liar and I'm not crazy. What did I lie about? Lie about what? Grand jury to me didn't really exist. That was all a farce.
Brawley and her advisors lost a defamation suit to Pagonis in 1998. Maddox had his law license suspended due to his refusal to answer questions about his conduct during the case. And Mason lost his because of unconnected ethical lapses. Sharpton was acquitted in a series of charity-related fraud charges.
I think that we, and certainly I, going forward, learned how to be more cautious. But I also think the media has not adopted a lot of this lesson. And I think prosecutors have not adopted this lesson.
The activist himself has moved on from the hoax that has altered the lives of so many others.
Barack Obama.
I told Reverend Al backstage, he's getting skinnier than me.
If we had something right or wrong, at least give us credit, at least give me credit for a life that was geared towards social justice, even if you think I was wrong on some cases. Don't act like I wasn't geared towards social justice. I have radio show, TV show, do lectures. I make a good living. Why am I doing it now? What's my point now? Maybe I really believed it.
But after 25 years, one fundamental question about the Brawley case still follows him.
Believe it.
Did a crime occur in your view still?
Whatever happened, you're dealing with a minor who was missing 4 days. So it's clear that something wrong happened.
He's still saying, I think something happened. Gosh, you're supposed to be a little bit bigger all these years later than being able to say, I think something happened.
Welcome to Politics Nation. I'm Al Sharpton.
One would think if he sold you such a terrible bill of goods on such a giant story that dominated news cycles for such a long period of time and proved to be a total hoax, that you might not show up at his next press conference with your camera crew. He has managed to transcend it magically.
Not really, because he had to end up coming out his pocket for what? I think it was $65,000 because of that era. That was something else. I hope y'all enjoyed that. He was something else. I was surprised a little bit, but then not really. Sharon said, why he shaded Lil Al. Well, anyway, guys, I really hope that you guys enjoyed episode 6 of Messy Ministries with Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me see here. Gold Digger says, wow, she did the most. Very extreme hoax. If it wasn't true, she was more afraid of the mom's boyfriend than the lie she told. That part. And Heavy said, hold these streets. Thank you, Heavy. I hope you guys have a good night. I'm pretty sure, Candy, you're having a show tonight. What time is your show, Candy? Is Candy still with us? I know she said that she was going to be doing the late night show. Heavy, do you know what time you guys are going live? Well, anyway, you guys keep your notifications on. Oh, okay. Candy said not tonight. Not tonight, guys. But I guess with that being said, you guys have a good night.